wrapped up in your bed. Do you know what it's like to be me? I feel like I'm taken, but I'm technically free. But you want it so bad, so you just keep on telling lies. Do you not see my pain when you look into my eyes?
Hey everybody, happy hump day. Welcome back to Morning Coffee with Rick Alexander. I am at Rick Alexander _ on Instagram and at Lionheart Radio. And if you guys are digging the show, as always, please share it with your following, with your friends. Tag me, let me know that you're digging the show. And also, if you guys have certain topics that you'd like me to address, a lot of times I have a lot of these ideas that I'm working through in my newest book or in essays or different things that I've been thinking about as I've done my own deep work. But if you have topics that you have been thinking about and you think maybe you would appreciate my opinion on, or me to try to explore or explain in a way with my worldview, then by all means, please send that to me and I will do my best. So today, as this goes live, I am starting my 247-mile run in body armor from Fort Bragg to Virginia Beach to raise money for Gold Star Teen Adventures, an organization that takes kids who have lost their parents in the war, and they take them on trips as far as mentorship trips, and they take them scuba diving and doing all kinds of things that their parents essentially would do with them if they were around. And so, as far as I'm concerned, there's probably not a more deserving charities. There are a lot of charities that do deserve your money, but these kids have been put in a really difficult situation. And so it's my pleasure and my honor to raise money for them. And if you feel so inclined, you guys can go to www.rickalexander.com/GSTA, as in Gold Star Teen Adventures. And there's a link there to donate. Even $5 would be amazing. But if not, I still appreciate y'all for following along. And if you hit me up on Instagram, you can probably follow my journey and watch probably what will be an epic breakdown. But regardless of the breakdowns and the obstacles, the show will go on. All right, so a lot of people ask me, it's funny because as I pulled up my Facebook, I got my notifications from this time at last year. And I was running a 205-mile run this time last year, which it was my first. And one of the things that I said in a post right before I went for the run was, a lot of people are going to die and they're not going to have known what they're capable of. But I'm not going to be one of those people. I will leave this life having maxed out everything that I can, my physical and my intellectual abilities. I will explore every frontier and I will turn over every single stone on my way to figuring out exactly what I am capable of in this lifetime. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the life cycle of your potential. See, the average lifespan right now is about 76 years. And although most of us intrinsically accept the idea that life is too short, what we never think about is how short it really is. Because if the average lifespan is 76 years, you have to factor in sleep, right? And so sleep takes roughly 25 years out of that 76 years. About a third of your day, maybe a little bit less, is spent sleeping. But the thing about it is life never loses. If you sleep less, then you have a higher than likely chance of dying earlier than the average. And so no matter where you get around, it's not that funny, but no matter where you try to get around it, the man has to be paid. And so, even if the average lifespan is 76 years, 25 years are taken off of the table for sleep. Now, the other thing you have to factor in is a period of gestation, of course, a coming of age, a time where we're developing, where, as you grow up, you're talking and you're trying to figure out how it is that you're going to get through life. And then at the same time, you're trying to map out your worldview. And then your physical abilities are sort of developing for the first 20 years. So that's another 20 years. Or let's say 18 years that are taken off. So now we've got 45 of the 76 years covered. So now we're down to essentially about 3 decades. And now if we're being conservative, let's say at 66, you're going to start declining physically. And let's be real, we all know that the average age to start declining physically, lower testosterone levels, lower hormone levels in general is well before 66. But for the sake of this, let's say 66. All right, so that's another 10 years. So let's say 20 years. Now, that means we have 2 decades. And again, this is being super conservative because the reality is we might not live to be the average age and we might decline before 66. So we have essentially a couple decades. So the actual life cycle of our potential, where we can figure out exactly what we're capable of, where we can do the most with our time here, is actually much more limited. Now, there's always certain frontiers that can be explored. Now, when you're younger and when you grow up, you're always sort of contending with what you don't know and you're kind of making your way in the world. But when it comes to mapping out your ultimate physical capability, chances are that most of the people that are listening to this show are in their life cycle of potential right now. And so that life cycle of potential is essentially 1 to 2 decades. And that's the only chance we get. So we talk about striking when the iron's hot. The iron is fucking hot right here, right now, in this moment. And the thing is, we only have, 1 or 2 decades, and a lot of us spend a good amount of that time screwing up. I know until about 26, I basically only partied. Was I doing things in that time? Yeah, of course I was. But when I talk about finding out exactly what you're capable of and exactly maximizing that potential, well, you got to take all of that time that you were still partying, we'll say still figuring it out, quote unquote, off of the table, right? And so now you can see that we're really starting to shorten the cycle. Again, I've looked at all the demographics for my listeners, and although they're not all in the United States, actually shout out to New Zealand, our second biggest listenership. Everybody that listens to this most likely is actually in their life cycle of potential right now, and you're somewhere around the peak of it. And so my encouragement to you would be to spend the next few years, the years that you have left, trying to figure out exactly what you are capable of, because every time you do that, every time you reach a new frontier, you sort of level up as a human. And I know this is nothing new. I talk about it all the time. But then you realize, oh shit, there's another frontier. And that process can be really rewarding as long as you don't lose yourself in it. Now, my thing is ultra marathons. But I don't give a damn what your thing is. I just think that you should find a thing. And so there is some way that you could test yourself, that you could test your ultimate capabilities and potentials that would align with who you are as a person. People are like, well, I don't like cardio. It's like, good, then don't like cardio. Hit the gym, like lift, power lift, start competing in strongman or strongwoman, or I don't do icing. I don't care, whatever your thing is. Find some physical aptitude that aligns with who you are as a person, that sets your soul on fire, and then go after it with the only time that you have, because the life cycle of potential is much shorter than you might actually be considering. And I hope this is a good one, and I hope that by the time you hear this, I'm still running. And I will talk to you guys later on Morning Coffee.
All right.